crying last year and said that he was resigning from Congress because of all this.
Right.
Now, he didn't deny anything today. He said someone's doing something. But she posited that this happened last year. Not last year. I mean, this is after he resigned. And how many months ago, Andrew? About 6, 7 months ago?
I think it was last year.
Last year.
But it was definitely after he resigned.
And this happened post-fact.
Right.
Explicit
it's not surprising
language
at all.
And then he still decided to run.
It's not surprising. And the reason why his wife was out there tonight is because his campaign is on life support. He may not make it through this. Without his wife tonight, Weiner was done. The tabloids are going to have a field day with this. They're now going to look for the women. And I'm not going to say bimbos, even though I just said it, but they're going to look for those types that he may have. He is in deep trouble tonight. He was the front runner, and it may be over. He's going to try and hang in there. He's not going to step down so quickly this time, but he's got a major problem in terms of
but let's just beat over the head for people.
Him.
Just getting home, Andrew. Everybody knows what happened to Anthony Weiner, and he denied it. Then he was forced to resign in that tearful apology and said that he was going to work and he went to get therapy and all the rest. Fast forward to 7, 8 months ago, allegedly, at least by this woman's posting, and the photos that she says are him, with no denials from him today. Long after all that, long after the therapy, long after the apologies, long after, he did it again.
It doesn't seem like it's a stretch to conclude from all of this that he didn't change his behavior until he decided he was going to get back into public life. That he was continuing to do the things and engage in these conversations and photo exchanges online that forced him to resign from Congress. He didn't stop any of that, even though he said he went to therapy, even though he said he was all better now, until he had a pretty good idea that he was going to
By the way,
run for
remind
office.
everybody, it wasn't just, tacky sexting and whatever. There was content that he didn't deny again today. It's not the lead today, but this is substantial. Reportedly, what he offered this woman.
He reportedly offered this woman to try to get her a job at Politico, and there was talk, at least in the posting on the website, that he wanted to get her an apartment or a condo in Chicago where they could rendezvous and meet up. I mean, he had fairly graphic conversations back when he was in Congress with things that he wanted to do with some of the women that he was in contact with on Twitter. I'm not sure it went to this level of specificity, but he hasn't denied these allegations either as to whether he promised her a job or promised her a condo.
Jeannie, I want to get your response both as the only woman at the table, but also as a pollster here. We're in now no man's land. I've never seen this before here, where a politician will ask for forgiveness. There'll be contrition. He may or may not have the spouse by his side here, but he's saying, forgive me, I'll be a changed man. I've learned my lesson. He's now asking for forgiveness a second time, even though he's saying this is the same forgiveness I asked before. Clearly, the timeline says no. Do we have any kind of precedent for this?
It's hard to think of a precedent. I think Dominic's right. He did say when he decided to run that there was more to come. The problem is that he should have, they tell lawyers, and Richard could verify this. You tell the jury what's going to be bad about your case, and you don't let them have a surprise at the end where the prosecutor or the other side comes out and says.
But didn't you think the more of it I did at least
was
when he first resigned?
Because
before
that was
right?
the impression he gave us. So the fact that he hid this and didn't come out and reveal it is a big problem. But I'm sorry, even today he comes out and says it's not all true. Well, then you have to say, you are on life support. You need to say what is true and what isn't true. Did you offer a job? Were you going to rendezvous in Chicago? I mean, he needs to lay this all out. And I'm not sure it's going to help in the end. I mean, I agree his wife supporting him is the only thing that's keeping him alive at this point, if he's still alive. This is, this is no man's land, as you said. And, it's hard to imagine. They're talking about all the time they took and as a couple, and God bless them, to resolve this. We're talking about last summer, for gosh sakes, when these texts apparently were occurring.
I think even more recently.
In Spitzer's case, it was 5 years ago. This first transgression occurred 2 years ago, and now this latest one apparently less than a year ago. The man may need to resolve some of these problems before he tries to run the biggest and most important city in the country. It's a huge problem.
And I also want to get to the role of Huma Abedin, who really, she was a known figure to those of us inside the business, but to a lot of people, this is the first time they heard her speak at length in front of a camera. But what's the worst part about it to you? And I can go down the laundry list of things. that he just confirms the creepiness of him, just the ick. But that he lied again, he can't trust him. The judgment issue, that where is that scintilla of discretion that this person would have? Or is it this idea that, you know what, he's going to keep doing this, and either we just don't care or not, but at the end of the day, he kind of thinks he's the most clever guy in the room, and he gives off that vibe that, let me worry about it. What's the part that, if you're trying to rectify this, that makes it so hard to give this guy a second or third act?
You know, it's sexting without the sex. It's, I inhaled, well, I smoked, but I didn't inhale, like Clinton said. It's Weiner passing one significant piece of legislation in Congress. You know, to me, what that means, if I'm, a voter in New York City, is that this guy isn't ready to be the mayor. You know, if you look at his legislative record, he just wasn't successful in getting anything done. He's distracted by other things. And this is not someone who we want to be mayor. And I think that's what you have to kind of look at. Now, I agree that his wife was a saving grace, and I think people are going to, forgive him and move forward with this. And he
Although
also,
I think that some people, I speak for myself, say, what kind of a guy would make his wife? Now, she makes her own decisions, I grant you, but to put her front and center. Maybe it saves the campaign, but to me,
she's
that's
as political as he is.
Yeah.
She's as much a political animal. She's worse. She's meaning that she's Hillary Clinton's. I mean, she wants this as bad, if not more, than her husband does. So she will do anything to get him elected. It's that simple.
And I'm sorry, this is not a question about what he did. It's a question about judgment. You've resigned from Congress and gone through everything he went through, and you
100% with
continue to do that. Are you ready to lead the city of New York?
Why
No
don't we
way.
think you do it again?
Well, and from a political operating standpoint, his defense is, well, Huma knew, my wife knew, so that makes it all okay. But we didn't know. The voters didn't know. He didn't tell us. We didn't tell Dominic when Dominic asked him the question. So it's a big surprise for voters.
I want to
That
keep this
doesn't help.
conversation going on the other side of the break. When we come back, we'll talk about just a whole bunch of stuff to do with this. And even in a funny way, what does this do to Elliot Spitzer? In the same election cycle, it's got to hurt him too. Now, tell us what you have to say on this. These new pictures. Is the Weiner campaign in jeopardy? I'll already answer the question, yes, but is this guy electable after all this? Head to Facebook and Twitter and sound off. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break.